roster, we know them to be that incredibly coordinated, incredibly locked together unit that plays as a team. Whereas Oxygen, of course, are known for a lot of the opposite, kind of lone players off on their own, notably laxing on the defense as well, trying to make their own plays. So we'll have to see if that type of play style will be able to tear apart DarkZero on Coastline, a map where generally the type of playstyle for OXG tends to thrive, but as we've been talking about, OXG hasn't been too keen on this map in the past, so we'll see if they can surprise us for the second week in a row with another win on a surprising map. And they need to bring it to the table too. Remember the current situation with the standings. Oxygen are in the lead in the league right now, but only by a couple of points when compared to the second and third place teams. They only have 2 matches left this week to earn points. Sonic's currently in third place, only I believe 2 points behind OXG. They have 3 matches, which means they have an extra opportunity to earn those points and potentially pass OXG, giving them the lead in the division. So OXG has to try their best to close out on both of the games they have this week. Obviously, we talked over the band phase there, but you have it in front of you. Capital, Lion, Maestro, and Valkyrie are the band operators.
Well, you can't exactly blame them in any one of these slots. Capital, an insane op that we get to see a decent amount of play from inside of the competitive pool, but the rest of these 3, I don't think that there's really any words that you need to describe this. Lion, one of the most influential operators over Coastline offense, so they want to get rid of him. No freeze tag today. Seems that it's going to be all frags instead. Oxygen already hopping into things here as DZs begin to set things up here for Kitchen. We enter the 6-pick phase. We will have a pick out here for OXG. Vertical going away from the Yana and picking up the knock. Now, before you say a single thing about this adjustment, just remember, we have had some crazy things happen in the past on Coastline with knock, specifically from an EU player that you guys might know. His name's Aces.
All right, well, let's see if OXG are going to have the strength necessary to play out this map against DarkZero. Stokes mentioning they've got themselves a pretty half-decent record for play here as well, so it's going to be quite the challenge that Oxygen are presenting to try to maintain the current lead that they have inside of the division. Additional site defense for DZ going to work its way down into kitchen and service. We are going to see a Mira deployed here, played by Mint. More than likely, we'll see the default Mira windows go down to support that, with one more than likely going somewhere between the kitchen and service, and I believe another one to play into the extended game already being deployed up here inside of theater.
I am so ready to see how these initial rounds go for Oxygen's offense. They're bringing in a lot of new ideas. Obviously, Sam Fisher in here, we've been seeing a lot more play from him. We've been seeing some play from him on Coastline as well. But Kino out with the Twitch, as well as secondary smoke grenades and the Nook coming in as well. Foxe and Yaga, the most stable operators inside of this lineup, I would say. No differentiating things from what we usually see on Coast. Vert's going to be making a very quick move, and this is something that Nook is actually quite strong at. Just remember, her ability makes it to where you can practically not even hear her footsteps, so he can definitely have some influence over that, as well as avoiding those cameras and trying to find these early picks.
So
and there it is.
Yep, there we go, walking right in. And already able to take down a member of DZ, as Eclipse going to be the first to fall inside of round 1 here. Some great progress being made. So far, untradeable as well. Eclipse off on his lonesome, not set up for immediate support from another teammate, meaning that that kill will go unresponded to for some time here.
Difficult road ahead for DarkZero, but that doesn't mean that it's all for naught just yet. They still have a solid hold over security as well as the main lobby, but depending on how Oxygen handle this situation, this could be a kitchen planet. As we see Yogg and Kino come out of the woodworks, it's definitely looking more like it. Granted, lobby can still assist DZ if they're able to hold this long angle Yogg is looking at right now across courtyard. That could mean the demise of a couple of Oxygen members, but so far they've been handling this with flying colors. Vert and Yogg as well, as they stack for some trades, but they've already found some space. The plant begins now for Foxe.
First attempt to deny it is going to be successful, but it can still be reignited as they have deep site control. Problem is that utility from Mint and Skies shutting down the entire play here and bringing us into a 2v4. Hard stop on the play from OXG with no way to immediately reignite it. Laxing and Kino, the only 2 players left in this element, and they're very far detached from that execute. No way to immediately restart the play. In fact, Kino gonna have to go droning here to make sure there's no crosses set up in lobby to immediately kill him if he were to go to the inside. Remember, we still have the 0 in play for Laxing, and that means he's got the capability to get a lot of intel very quickly off of those Argus camps. The 2 he just deployed, this one will be a winner here, as it'll more than likely spot it or at least get confirmation there's someone playing to the inside of VIP. Laxing now aware of that. The problem is, though, although Kino traded a frag downstairs, he himself will also be lost a couple seconds later. Laxing was on his way to support. No longer does he have a teammate to support. It's just him now in a 1v3. trying to lurk his way forward here over towards lobby to finally deal with a threat that's been so present the entire time. Won't find anything on the initial contact, and because of the breach made in the main kitchen wall, he can dodge to the inside, over to the barrels door. Not ready for the duel versus Skies, though. He takes the win, and DarkZero take the round.
Such a solid round there from DarkZero. Oxygen able to get the lead off pick, but it just didn't amount to enough when it came to actually executing onto the site. Oxygen push in, but things get quite frantic once the smoke utility starts coming into play. They overextend themselves, specifically with the Nook, to try and get that frag onto Skies, but Skies wins out the situation on that, that 1v1 there, and is able to get away with that. And that's the biggest issue there for Oxygen, is that they were trying to apply pressure to DZ, but not only the 1v1 there, but also the Nitro Cell, obviously, coming in and practically winning the round there for DarkZero from Mint. So that was really the two things that would, were the nail in the coffin for that situation for Oxygen. They had the space control. They just weren't exactly ready for what DarkZero had at their disposal. And every single piece of DarkZero's utility hitting the mark that was necessary.
All right, DarkZero succeeding in that initial kitchen defense. Going to go right down the list of the usual suspect sites here. A lot of our teams this season have been starting out with a kitchen defense, then moving up to either this site or bar afterwards. So we're going to continue to see that be a trend here as we go to hookah and billiards next for DarkZero as they continue to run down their defensive line. Operators not going to be too crazy here either, still keeping the mirror in play because she was left unbanned. On top of that, an interesting wrinkle, we are going to see a warden come into play, but could be quite useful, especially for those late round chaotic executes. You can see we've got a full kit of flashbangs on Foxy there, and NJR could use that utility on his glasses there in order to get past that and still be able to frag out against the execute from OXG.
This is one of the most refreshing metas that we've seen in Rainbow Six for a very long time. It feels like a lot of the operators that they've brought into the lineups or just into the roster for R6 within the last handful of years have finally gotten to a point where you can work them in. Like, for instance, Warden, he just used to be a meme pick. I mean, we kind of joked about him. Hey, he's a little bit too late. Ying's no longer useful, yada, yada, yada. But now...
It was like for defending, like, Cigar on a cafe. That was like the only.
No, you're talking about Pixel when he'd play Pixel in like bathroom and stuff like that. Yeah. Because that 1.5 is so dangerous. You know what I mean? It was just so very strong.
Only time you'd see him, and you'd only see him specifically because it was the only place where like you'd actually have flash dumps going on so heavily against one person that utility might actually get some use. Speaking of useful things, Kino with the absolute beeline kill against NJR there. Nicely done, and the worst part about it, NJR seemingly was ready for it, had the angle pre-aimed and everything, but still, the frag goes over to Kino and Oxygen. That's a big pick and a big opener right there for our attacking squad.
That really feels like NJR was just like, is there a break in that? Oh, I'm dead. Okay. Well... Yeah, there's somebody there, guys. There's somebody on Aqua Balcony. We should probably do something about that. But Oxygen are going to have to lead off pick once again. But just remember, that didn't actually end up meaning anything inside of the last round. DarkZero still have plenty of utility to fight back against Oxygen and their onslaught. They won't be changing up too much. Kino will get the second pick here onto Hyper. Big frags for him is the Twitch main seemingly making things work. Vert also switching things up onto IQ. That's what I wanted to get out there, is that this could possibly have an effect over the round necessarily, but there's not too many things he's going to be too worried about. More than likely just some magnets, but he'll have a good scan over what they're able to actually deal with in their throwables along with these ADSs as well. So Oxygen still getting poised outside, but just really need the information game right now. They're going to deal some damage to Eclipse, but again, all not too much. Smoke's out now, stun grenades in. Kino starts up the plant. Nitro Cell goes out, but it's not going to do too much either. Eclipse finally able to find the initial frag for DarkZero, taking down Vertical, but the plant's already done, and Oxygen have vacated the premises.
Attacker smoke coverage is great. Not so much for the defender gas, though, as they try to fend off that plant only to allow it to go off without much of a hitch there due to the smoke, which disallowed them from being able to wide swing against the plant angle. That, of course, on top of the fact that Oxygen were already primed in post-plant positions here, and they're shutting it down exactly as you'd expect, but that's sort of an advantage here. Absolutely no room for the remaining DZ players to retake inside of this round. OXG are well too prepared for this post-plant, and they shut it down to immediately respond in round 2 and tie us up.
Yeah, coastline being as coastline as we would regularly see it be, right? Like, there's really no way to fight around that when it comes down to it. When you lose 2 people early on and you're not able to get a refrag, that 3v5, especially on coastline where you don't even necessarily need a hard breach to actually hit the site, it's always going to be practically impossible to try and fight back, especially given how Oxygen played their situation for plant there. An off-plant location, didn't go for the usual default on the actual bomb chassis for Billiards, instead going over the corner. And since there's no warden, they don't actually know where they're planting at. They simply try and throw a nitro cell into the smoke and get a kill, and that didn't get them anything at all. DarkZero aren't even able to move away from the zones that they were playing without Oxygen picking them off. So very difficult round there for DZ, but their defenses aren't over just yet. They were able to get the kitchen win initially. Hookah didn't go their way, but Double Bar could be the difference maker.
See if that'll end up being the case for DarkZero. I'm definitely not feeling the Hookah Billiards play after such a confident take from OXG. I mean, just from the start of the round, everything was going OXG's way. That includes those 2 initial picks from Kino that he got both, I believe, on the rappel towards Aqua. DarkZero trying to fend off that early presence cost them big time and left them unable to defend the site as well due to utility placement not being optimal. We'll have to see if they take a more passive approach to the inside of this round, but more than likely not, just when considering the overall site they've gone to. They have to play extended up into Hookah Billiards again. More than likely a roam setup somewhere in kitchen or towards the front lobby security area. So a lot of things need to be played out here from DarkZero, and it's these extended plays where issues have more so often been popping up for them here so far. So this site's actually a bit of a dangerous one, in my opinion, for DZ.
Yeah, well, I would be inclined to agree with you, obviously, with how potent Oxygen's execute was prior here. But as of right now, Oxygen attempting to figure out how they want to handle the kitchen area. They've been able to pop servers, pre-placed nitro cell that we've got some insight now on as well for a penthouse, so we'll see if that's able to pick up anybody later on. But they're more than likely going to need a camera or something like that to actually call it. Mint could obviously do it off audio, but that's going to be a pretty hard call. But this is actually getting more and more difficult for Mint. He needs to get out of here immediately, as the cutoffs are already getting set up from Oxygen, as well as the vertical play is starting to come in. Hyper from downrange does have the 1.5 on the so he could possibly catch someone through great if they're lacking inside a service.
People didn't like that scope at first.
Yeah, dude, you know what's hilarious? It's the only one that is literally a single size pixel right in the middle of your screen. I love the hollow, but that one just...
Sorry to go off on a tangent here. I was just seeing how prevalent the 1.5 is now, and I remember seeing the initial pro reactions. It was like, man, this site sucks. It's like, well, clearly that didn't stick.
No. Out of all the new sites, I feel like the most hated one is definitely the new hollow. New hollow, I would rather use any site. I would rather use iron sites than use the new hollow. That's just me personally speaking, but I don't want to harp on things too much because we've got other people to talk about in their gameplay going on. It's still a 5v5 here for both squads. Not too much action going around, but DarkZero are actually going to back off of kitchen. It seems like Oxygen will have something to say about that. They could move forward and possibly get a pick here, but not too much insight as to what's actually happening on the site. Skies is still deep here inside of Sunrise, playing on the couches. There's been a cutoff established by Kino, as it looks like they really want to hold kitchen and go for a towels push.
It's going to be very, very tense with no frags occurring here. We're down into a full 5-on-5 team fight with 45 seconds left. Going to start to devolve very quickly, though, as Vertical's lost, but so is Mint, with Eclipse as well as Laxing, both picking up kills for either team here. We go into a tense moment here now. Nitro Cell's all ready to be deployed against Foxay, but he dodges it just in the nick of time, reigniting plant potential. Yaga also gets another opening here for OXG. They can't resist the plant any longer, and their attempts to do so cost them. Foxay at low HP, also able to gather another frag for himself as he gets that plant down onto the ground, and Yog's final kill seals the deal. OXG with another impressive execute against the bar play, getting them their second round on the board.
2 first bloods, 2 plants, and 2 rounds for Oxygen in a row. They're looking really, really good right now across the entire board. This is a squad that we talk about a lot when it comes to their highlight plays. Any of these people can be a star at any moment in time, but the thing that stood out to me so far from Oxygen is their team play is immaculate. They clear out all of kitchen with support of the entire squad, get Kino inside of there, and immediately shift over to towels to start pushing pressure onto Sunrise. They have Kino there. No one can try and cross. If Skies even wanted to, he couldn't make his way across to bar. There was a bunch of things that Kino had control over that simply DarkZero could not try and battle back from. Eventually, they were able to remove him from kitchen, but the plant was already down. Foxay able to get the refrag. It was just too strong of a push from Oxygen.
So, taking a look here, OXG's lead now well established inside of the beginning of the half. Time to see if they can truly seal the deal and keep the pressure moving, as we're going to shift back over towards another site for DarkZero. They've already been able to take control. That's going to be the kitchen service hold. This was a relatively close round due to the great utility usage from the inside of barrels that was up until that point looking like a pretty successful take from OXG. Some other problems presented to OXG, though, because of the soft wall inside of kitchen on the right side there. They had a lot of problems with Cross taking bits of damage off them as they tried to go in through the kitchen door, because they never cleared out the roam game towards the front lobby and security area. So these are a couple of the key things that Oxygen are going to have to try and find solutions for. Otherwise, they'll once again fall to a successful defense from DZ on this site.
Absolutely. Oxygen just not enough to work with inside of that one-prong push, and DarkZero just that much better inside of the utility usage. But Hyper, I don't... Oh, very unfortunate for him. All the way from lobby, had more than likely an angle all the way to blue window through the soft wall. We saw that and destroyed that a little bit earlier on. So him just trying to get cheeky with some longer angles, but Oxygen already knowing about it and actually deal almost all of Hyper's health and damage. More than likely this drone that Vertical's on right here being the culprit.
Hyper continuing to hold in that angle just at the end of long haul outside of kitchen there. Some other support.
Wow, DarkZero.
Rotate back here. DarkZero not taking any of the challenges in the early round and simply allowing OXG to take control of the entire double bar as well as upstairs area here too. Y'all gonna have some pressure against him though from security. He still holds the flank for office right now and will have to probably continue to do so because of this presence from Eclipse.
This is truly impeccable what DarkZero are doing right now. They're holding every single lane across the entire bottom of the map. They have Eclipse inside of security for the office push. They have the entire wall destructed so that they can also play for crosses if somebody wants to push through blue bar. And then they're simply stunting them inside of Sunrise. This is a very strong hold right now for DZ, but something has to give. We still have a lot of utility on the offense to burn through, as well as plenty of drones and sand cans to still utilize. So looks like it starts now as Vertical's trying to work his way up into security. Frag grenade out. Eclipse taking very minimal damage from that one, but he's going to try and reconcile with the situation. Dips back in, but won't even catch a bullet. Vertical will get some insight on that, though, as Eclipse will scamper back off the site.
Off case for either team here at the start of round 4. But remember, round 3 had a very very similar opening as well.
I started it. It's my fault.
Got tongue twisted there for a moment. But either way, no
Peter Piper pecked to pick a pickled peppers.
What's up? Oh, look at this.
Peter Piper pecked to pick a pickled peppers. Bert, come on! Oh, Bert, yes!
Hey, I thought he didn't see that at first.
Oh, does he check front desk though? That's the biggest deal right now. Remember, there's multiple DarkZero members here.
Seems to be at least keeping an eye on it, but he's more worried about the barrels play instead, which was the thing that caused Oxygen a lot of problems with their execute before. Laxing's going to come in and support this. Team communication's good, but oh no, he missed the rotate, and there's a player on the inside of Stalls that's assisting with this as well. 2 players suddenly fall, and although trades are coming in, it's not enough to make up the difference. Foxe and Yogg, the last 2 standing. Yogg committed to the site. Can't help out in the fragging department as he has to go for a plant attempt. Still a nitro on Eclipse's pack as well that he could try to use to stop this. Looks like he may be getting into position to throw that now. There it is, but at the same time, the drop's going to come in. Yogg still in the fight, but he had to get the diffuser down onto the ground here. Now trying to fight it out. Did deny Eclipse, and more importantly, denied the nitro cell, but he's got to survive in the 1v2 here. Stuck behind that kitchen counter. Hop over. Remember, he can't see through this point here. He's got to play it off sound intel alone. There's the first pick. Now he's just got to wait for the second one, but no! And they are too quick on the trigger as Yogg tries to swing, and DarkZero will take the defense on this site yet again.
It seems like Yogg knows he downed Eclipse with how he's playing around the bomb chassis. Immaculate moves up against the SAS operator, but just a little bit too much, a little too aggressive when it came down to that last engagement. Still 20 seconds on the actual case, but moves out from around that bomb chassis, and NJR already having the angle for DarkZero, able to win it out because of that situation. But we're still gonna have to get another plant here from Oxygen, so solid stuff for them. But the main issue being Oxygen died on the hill of lobby. This is something that we saw them die early on to inside of that previous round when they ended up hitting kitchen from Sunrise, but this time around they attempt to deal with the situation. They just simply can't kill the guy inside of the lobby. Laxing hops over the desk. He's crouching on the other side. A supporting member of DZ swings Stalls, and that's all she wrote. They pick up every single member trying to trying to wipe away everyone inside of lobby, and that's exactly where they end up losing all of the power necessary to hold down that post plant.
Now, Oxygen more than likely not going to be upset about the loss there. They came incredibly close on both attempts to winning it, especially in clutch scenarios, too. And remember, they've won every other site so far that DarkZero has attempted to play, including this one, in very, very one-sided fashion for the most part. So Oxygen looking to once again try to control the status quo here by responding to those one rounds with potentially 2 more of their own and a possible 4-2 lead if the results replicate themselves again here in the favor of Oxygen. DarkZero, of course, learning their own lessons from the previous attempts, will look to battle back from those previous losses and now take that very same lead for themselves to see if they can get things done. We're going to have... Can we go back to Hookah real quick? I think we just saw a mirror window in an interesting position. Possibly. Oh, it is. It's on the rotate.
Is it on the rotate?
It's on the rotate.
Oh,
look.
They had that there the last time.
Oh, did they? Okay, I missed that last time. But either way, normally you're going to see a rotate there, so I just thought that was interesting to point out for those who didn't see it, because I clearly didn't see it on the last attempt.
Oh, absolutely. And honestly, that mirror window is pretty unique because its placement makes it to where you have to remember about this. Mirror windows are still bulletproof, right? They can still accept explosives and all that stuff. You actually have to break everything around the mirror window for it to fall out. So that being there means that the guy that plays the staircase, technically speaking, can't get shot in the head if they try to pre-fire that wall. So like he can actually play intel for the back of the couches and things like that. It's a really nice setup from DarkZero. I really like what they're doing with the mirror windows here. But as we saw the last time around, Oxygen dealt with this in spades. And going into this round, DarkZero have to be aware of that situation, and they need to be on top of trying to harbor these initial picks.
A lot of hard lock angles being held here as we scroll between the players, and we can see some of the attackers already able to get in, specifically towards VIP, clearing out there. There is an element to deal with, and I think they actually just dealt with it. So Hyper going to fall, just as I was going to mention his presence potentially becoming an issue. NJR was actually ready downstairs to nitro sell the run-in from Guitar Hall as well as Bathroom there, but he's going to take it off now that his teammate to give him the Q is, well, dead. So going to save that for hopefully a better use later in the round.
Now, this has been quite the showcase of opening frags so far for Oxygen. 4 to 5 opening frags, depending on what happened inside of round, I believe 4. That's the one I'm missing right now, where we had some stuff happen earlier on that I wasn't necessarily paying attention to. But either way, Oxygen have gotten the lead off pick quite a few times right now, given the score line. So DarkZero still able to have influence inside of these 4v5s, and it seems like that's going to continue to be the case as NJR finds a very, very late refrag and is able to take down Yogg.
A bit of an issue there as the Argus cam does get shot out as a result of the attention drawn to it, but more than likely the noise would have drawn the ire of the player sitting in that position just behind the mini bar in billiards anyway, so nothing really major would have changed there. Either way, though, down to that last minute again, and we've got a very, very tense possible team fight brewing here, as there's been very minimal kills up until this point, only 1 so far for each team. With 40 seconds left, though, once again, the pressure is on for Oxygen. They don't have as much presence towards Aqua this time. Only 1 player in that position, potentially trying to swing out. The others are in control of VIP, as well as positioning outside Hook. But look at this! The hop-up from Min is perfectly timed to deny the play from Laxing. NJR also stopping vertical. Kino gonna try to lurk in.
No way.
Actually, he's given all this room for free. Gonna walk right up. Mint's ready for him on the swing. He did down NJR, though. Fox will capitalize upon that, but he's gotta find 3 more kills. Only 10 seconds to do it. There's a shotgun around this corner. He gets the better of it, though, but that time still going down very quickly.
No.
A second kill for Foxe, his opponent, trying to wait it out now, and he succeeds in doing so as Eclipse wins that very much needed final gunfight to put the round in DarkZero's pocket.
Oh, man, these 2 games today that we have been casting blue, I don't know if my heart can take it. We've had so much action going on, even inside the Xset game as well. Granted, Xset didn't perform up to what we're usually seeing from them inside of their opening engagements, but they still played quite well and gave us a good game. As for this one, this is neck and neck on every single one of these engagements. DarkZero able to win inside of the frag department inside of that last round, and that was a big difference maker. Remember, the previous Hookah defense we saw from DarkZero, that's where we saw Kino get those 2 lead-off picks, and from that point on, it's difficult, like we talked about before, for DarkZero to try and get back into that round. They're able to do it now, and at worst, split 3-3 on defense.
Which is not going to be a bad scoreline at all.
No, not at all.
Generally speaking, we do tend to trend this map slightly more into the attacker side than the defender side, which this is one of like the few maps that has that. But from what I remember about the stats, it's not like a major difference. So 3-3, I think, is like pretty much on par for what the stats tend to give you when you look that up. I might be a little bit off on that, though.
I got it. You want? Hey, you want to do some stuff like Phil or something? Want to look it up?
It's like mid-50s for attackers on a lot of the sites, right? I think.
Okay, I got you. 2 seconds, almost there. Internet, hello. Yes, I know. I'm also commentating. I know it's slow. Yes. Yeah. No, I'm here now. I'm good. The page is back up. But either way, so one more time, ask the question one more time.
I think it's like mid-50s win percentage for attackers on most sites on this map.
Actually, the defensive win rate right now on Coastline through 2 plays, mind you, is a 67% overall defensive win rate.
In NA, I assume, right? Or
yes, okay. Correct.
It's hard to like trust those because it's only 2 games. That's like a really small sample size. But
very
hey,
small.
I guess it's all we have. So we kind of got to work with it. So yeah, this actually is trending slightly more defender, specifically in our region. Which obviously that's not considering the other like EU and APAC and all that. I don't think.
Listen, let me go back to high school real quick. I'll break out the T-83. Eclipse calculates it and sends the shot right into Yaga's skull. And that's going to be the opening frag DarkZero need to set pace here inside of round 6. And not just split this 3-3, but actually further their lead into a 4-2 while switching sides on over to offense. Oxygen might have had something in store for DarkZero, but it seems like DarkZero are still just better inside of these situations. Finally, the refrag comes through though. Eclipse downed inside of security. Vert picks it up for the squad as once again we're equalized at a 4v4.
Quick trade, just as we've seen in quite a few of the other rounds also. But the big difference maker here is that this is the first time DarkZero got that initial kill, and for the most part didn't have it get responded to for a couple of those seconds later. Obviously that's changed. Now we're back down into a 4v4 yet again. However, Zofia, being the operator that was lost, could cause problems for OXG on the execute, seeing as they don't have any other way to get ranged soft breach out. So if they need to take down any panels to open up rotates into the site, or more importantly, deal with, say, like Belusi Banshees all across the map, dealing with those is not going to necessarily be an easy task now because Yaga was the first to die.
Yeah, not at all. And another thing being the intel that he has with those concussions for a secondary lifeline utility. That can mean a lot when you're going for that site execute, especially if somebody's playing an off angle. You send one of those concussions in there, and you know based on proximity where they are. So Oxygen going to be missing quite the large tool traded out for Eclipse here. And I think that's why we've seen this start to slow down just a little bit. Oxygen still looking for some intel, not able to get another pick, but they've established quite a few crossfires here, especially vertical being quite important inside of office. But now Nitro Cell out, Laxing gets one, Foxy gets another, and he'll get his friend back up. Kino, you still breathe air, my friend, and you're going to assist Oxygen in getting this case down.
That was actually such a round-changing kill there for
huge
for Laxing in that situation, just because he not only saves his own life along with Kino's, but he denies the Nitro Cell at the same time and downs another player. Massive change in the status quo right there, especially considering Foxy got to pick up as well. Hyper's going to begin the resistance, though, here, as he's able to take down Kino and start making these numbers a little bit more workable as it's down to a 2v3. Hyper's still behind the Sunrise bar also, meaning that at the moment, OXG cannot safely push into this site. They especially can't wide swing because the other player is going to be right around the corner also. They'll have to be cautious of that. Then JR will be in position to support. Keep in mind, look at this time here. 10 seconds remaining. If they try to go wide here, it's going to be messy. But as you can see, Laxing with the cutoff on the other side, that works out. The supporting angle from NGR up on top did not come to fruition because it was Laxing that executed from behind. More importantly, that diffuser gets down on the ground with only a single second left on the clock. NGR with a gas charge here should do some decent damage to Foxade. It's going to force him out of position. Problem is, though, NGR giving a lot of time to his opponents for post-plant setup, and that's exactly what it's going to lead to. Laxing already reading the rotate from NGR, knew he was potentially either going to come down cool vibes or go for the drop, so he takes this position in long haul to counter both of those out and shut down the play, giving that final round over towards OXG.
Well, 3-3 split here. Oxygen are able to do it and come back after that initial pick from DarkZero in security. Really coming down to the wire there instead of that 2v3. Initially a 2v4 before Hyper's able to find a frag of his own, but DarkZero actually end up splitting their last two defensemen between floors, NJR being upstairs, Hyper being downstairs behind Sunrise Bar. Now, they have NJR upstairs on the hatch angle to watch for Towel's door, but the issue with that is, well, Hyper's actually also watching that door. So the problem that is now in front of DarkZero is there's no one covering Hyper's main Sunrise door. And that could have been easily done from something like Vibes or something along those lines. And we saw exactly what happened with that situation. Hyper gets overwhelmed, stun grenade, and Laxing flanks in from Kitchen and kills him. They get a plant down, and NJR doesn't even get the pick on the man that enters from Towels. So for NJR, positioning just a touch off there for that. I completely understand. I completely understand the insight into it and the thought process of, hey, we have two different angles, one upstairs, one down. That's a great way to play things out. But focusing on the same exact area and not supporting each other and more team play based angles, you're more than likely going to run into issues like that.
All right, well, let's take a look at how the first defensive round for OXG is going to play out here. We've got both of the SAS operators in check, along with a lot of usual suspects, but some ones you may not be expecting either. The Oryx coming out for Foxay. Now, I have seen Oryx used on this map before as well, and I believe it's going to be used in a very similar fashion. Yeah. Sitting over here in luggage, he'll be able to drop down, play the security position, say like Vertical gets killed here. Foxay can immediately come in for trade support. At the same time, his teammate may also be able to help out in some respects there too. If the pressure starts to build on him, he can drop, have Vertical cover the angle, and he can worry about something else. A lot of ways to play into it, specifically with the hatch positioning from Foxay's current position. On top of that, you've also got Echo, who we've been seeing more and more of, despite the recent nerf to him that pushed him out of the meta by removing his cloaking ability. We're starting to see those yokai drones show up every now and again.
Yeah, still quite the operator to play with the amount of different things that those drones can do and information, as well as the MP5 SD just being a very solid SMG to use on defense. But I really like what you were saying about the Oryx, and I think there's something that needs to be pointed out when it comes to this operator. Every regular operator that is not Oryx has two ways to transition between floors here on Coastline, whereas Foxay, well, Foxay has 6. He has 6 different ways to get to that second floor and somehow kill or flank any of these members from DZ. So they really need to be aware of what is currently possible and as to why these hatches are open on the top floor. But that all hinders on what Foxay can actually do, or hinges, excuse me, on what Foxay can actually do with this rotate. Half the timer off the board now for DZ is they have control of the top floor, but they don't have the pick necessary to start trying to transition into anything else.
The other negative that this presents to DarkZero on the attack is that DarkZero are going to have to constantly watch open hatches for potential flanks, as you could see one of the members doing just there when they were clearing out the hallway. NJR, though, with a good start here, he's able to find that opening pick onto Kino. A lot of explosions going off. Trying to see exactly where that's coming from, but I think we missed a lot of that. Either way, DarkZero with the opening lead here yet again in the round, but yet to transition it into a site take. That's going to be changing right now, however, as everybody's getting prepared, 2 of their players at least getting prepared to push in through the poolside door.
Yeah, well, with Kino off the board now, no smoke here to stop DZ from working their way inside of the building, and more specifically, working their way onto site. Only 30 seconds remain now for the execute to get prepped and ready. Oxygen, all hands on deck downstairs. Yogg and Foxay on some longer angles here to support some crosses, as well as a bottom vibes player. DarkZero start to move in, but it's more specifically Hypers. He'll take control of Towels. There's a trade that ensues. Yogg goes down, Vertical able to pick up NJR, but this utility starting to actually slow down Oxygen as DarkZero continue to cling on to this. Hyper with the second frag of the round. Foxay still pushed back inside a kitchen. He can't do a single damn thing. He's shut down. Vert's able to get the kill, but what is that worth when Hyper gets the triple? DZ lock things up and shoot ahead with the lead for the second time here.
Bit of a scary one towards the end, as OXG clearly trying to play for time at the end, but at the same time, also still trying to get slightly aggressive to make sure they didn't get overwhelmed, ultimately leaving just one of their players alive in the connecting hallway between the Sunrise Bar and Kitchen, and as well that pinch coming in to seal the deal at just a couple seconds left there. OXG nearly able to close it out, but just a little bit too close to the fight that last player was, and in a tradable position for one of the late entry players on DZ. So they pick up a 4th round, as Stokes said, they take the lead. To be fair, though, a bold site choice for OXG to go to right off rip there at the double bar. So now we're going to get to see them shift back towards the more meta-oriented sites as we go to Kitchen and Service for their next defense.
Yeah, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And so far throughout this, Double Bar has not found a single round where it was doable. So that's a pretty big thing looking through the stats. We've played it 3 times so far throughout this match, and every single one of them has been failure on the defense's end. So good thing to move this on over to Kitchen. But that round right there for DarkZero, what a round in general. When it came down to the execute, it was actually kind of unorthodox, one would say, especially with Hyper just being the lone pusher inside inside of Towels, the rest of DarkZero, specifically Mint, actually, hopping in on the far side window. You know, there was just a lot of different things that DarkZero were doing there that Oxygen weren't necessarily ready for. Just, you know, working more of their remaining members in a bigger influx in certain areas where you're not used to seeing that and stuff along those lines. And just overall, a great round from DarkZero. It really seemed like they were in control that entire time. But now Oxygen, they are up to the, well, hopefully up to the tall task of fighting back against DZ. They're down 1 round currently after we switch things up into Kitchen. Not too much of a top hold going on here, though, as it seems like nobody's home.
DarkZero, though, going to move into that position upstairs relatively quickly as they're going to send pretty much, looks like their whole team up rappel. There probably a couple
cavalry.
Yeah, probably a couple going to stay down below just to be ready outside the kitchen window and that general area to execute, but it's like the large majority stacking up big time on the north side of the building to try to work their way in and specifically clear out any of that extended play that might be here from OXG, although it doesn't really look like they've got it set up at this point, though, judging from what I can see on the silhouettes.
Yeah, that might take them a little while. They'll at least have some roof presence, so Oxygen aren't going to be able to move around like they necessarily want to. I'll be able to get rid of one of Eclipse's air jabs on the lobby door, so a possible run out later on if they do want to try and go for a service plant. But as of right now, DarkZero still sitting at the entrance of the building trying to find some information. And Eclipse, he gets shot at, but he also shoots back. If you didn't know, that gun also has bullets, and it's going to clip Foxay. DZ with their second pick, or actually third pick, excuse me, of the game. But as we've grown used to among these two especially, it's going to be an immediate trade. We're down into a 4v4 with a minute 30.
And Oryx still coming into play, and this time helping out in a much bigger way. They're able to trade out the earlier loss of Foxay. Yago, of course, taking some heat from that, but due to the dash, is able to get out of the hotspot relatively quickly before losing himself and making that trade a bit of a moot point. Bringing it down to a 4v4 yet again. I mean, it's been like the same story.
That is an angle.
Yeah, right here for Lax.
Wow.
And the very similar story so far inside of this matchup of both teams losing that initial player, and now we go to Laxing, who might be the next to potentially fall or pick up a frag here from Stokes is mentioning that very, very interesting deployable shield position that he's now trying to play off of, preventing both of the drop action to come from the bedroom side, as well as any swings that might work their way through the main lobby. And of course, he can fend off the play into the actual site, too, due to the way that it's lined up.
On vertical, let's get some insight on Skies. Skies can't even see this drone because the hollow is so unbelievably fat. You can't even see it on the floor. The site actually blocking him off, but as we hear the stuns go in, more than likely a sign of an execute. Mint taking a lot of damage, attempted the plant, but he's already down to half of his HP. He's going to vacate as well, as he desperately needs to. DarkZero still want to try and attempt this one more time, but remember, Laxing still has a ton of smokes, and these are landing perfectly on the location. Oxygen immediately jumps ahead, able to get some refrags, but Laxing cleans up shop inside a lobby. It's all down to Hyper to try and refrag, but he needs to find 3 bodies in 10 seconds. Not exactly doable, especially when he's trying to gunfight inside a lobby right now, taking so much damage. Laxing just better in the situation, locks down not only Hyper, but the rest of DZ. Outside service, smoke grenade play, perfect, and came down to this last engagement with the M590. Fantastic stuff from Lax.
It's just too well-oriented for the OXG roster inside of their kitchen defense, especially when fending off that lobby push. Beautifully played for them, and although we were seeing trades come in, DarkZero definitely vying for a title inside of that round, it was all for naught, because like I said, Oxygen having so many cutoffs, so many trade angles established, that, to be honest, DarkZero probably doesn't even know what hit them when they lose so many players so quickly. That Oryx play also panning out, although it's going to change hands once again and disappear entirely in the 6-pick phase. Laxing will swap from that over towards the Goyo as they're going to head up towards Penthouse and Theater for this hold. Interestingly enough, the most notable lack of an operator choice here is going to be the fact that they're going to play this without Amira, despite the fact that she's not banned right now.
Well, that more than likely means, especially with that Goyo shield there, that this is more than likely going to be a full-on strip down of the VIP area. We'll have to see what they want to do with this.
Nope.
We're going to have some reinforcements allocated to this. But this is, in case you guys were wondering how color commentary works in Siege, this is a difficulty of color commentary. Mira's not here. We don't know if they're going to begin breaking down the walls or what. They're actually going to reinforce all of triple, single one for 90 so nobody can work the angle for that Goyo shield, but they're also going to open the entire other side, as well as slap a reinforcement down so nobody can rotate through vibes onto the staircase, or at least have some angles there. Like, this is what I'm talking about. There's a lot of different things that can happen here for these squads. They're not going to be able to actually work through those other two panels. That's why Oxygen set those there and then popped the other side. So it's going to be a very limited safe space for DZ to work with if they do want to try and enter over from Hookah. I mean, look at the amount of angles that they have to worry about across this entire site. And then when you actually get VIP control, you have to try and get the wall open through electrification, which they don't even have a Thatcher. So good luck with that. You're more than likely going to have to frag it or try and play Penthouse Window. We'll have to see how it breaks down, but an elaborate setup, one could say, for Oxygen.
Only 2 frags on the team as well. The good news is they do bring 2 ranged soft breach operators to the table, though, so should more than likely be able to make up the difference when it comes to hopefully dealing with that Kite Electric Hall positioned somewhere in the back of bedroom, more than likely to block off access, although might be on the inside of VIP looking at how it's spread. Not sure on if it would have worked from the corner on the other wall, but either way, that's one to look in the VOD for later, because we have those now. Foxy, in the meantime, going to go a little bit intense here on the crawling, going all the way to the opposite corner. It's actually pretty smart, because he more likely knows they're playing to his hard left right now. Oh, but
my God.
Frag is even smarter. Goes right into his face. Absolutely nothing Foxy can do about that except die.
I think he actually just had a heart attack visibly on the screen. If you saw him just shake around, because like there's no way you get out of that situation. Hyper is going to take some damage, but you know, picking up Foxy, especially inside of VIP, that's a really, really big deal. The less time that he's allowed to exist in there, the better, and they're definitely going to need some pressure there eventually. But look at this. Oxygen still set up across the map inside of Billiards, as well as having Laxing on vibes, but he seems to like to want to go for a rotate possibly. Remember, he does have that Nitro Cell inside of Goyo's kit, but they've currently locked themselves out of Kitchen. And speaking of Kitchen, DarkZero also has some presence inside of there. It seems like they're really worried about this north side of the map, as they are actually in control of it on 2 separate layers, all except for obviously the bomb site.
So Oxygen down a player, but still holding aggressive positions, especially down towards the front lobby that we were talking about. Oh no, in fact, it looks like there's going to be some aggression there. A sacrificial player takes the heat on the air jab, but still the trade comes in. Eclipse too quick on the trigger. Kino will pick up the response frag, though, and a very much needed one to keep the team even. Nitro ready to be deployed. It is going to go a little bit low, though, unfortunately. Only knocking off damage from Kino, interestingly enough, as far as I can tell. That might have actually come from another source, though, since that was so far away. We're going to see the gas charge out. It's too late, though. A player's been let to the inside of the master bedroom, right by big window. You can see Yogg trying to deal with it, but the angle's awkward. The good news, though, is that Kit is still down somewhere deep in the master bedroom area. The bad news, though, Oxygen don't seem to have a handle on how they want to manage what was a 2v3. Kino, now the only player left, trying to bait out time, while at the same time keeping the aggressive presence held back from his opponent. The frag grenade goes in, gonna be close, nearly takes him down, but he's still alive. With like 12 seconds left, DarkZero need to press upon him. There you go, NJR gets the job done. DarkZero take the 9th round and stay in this map.
Just a suffocation inside of theaters. There's nowhere for the smoke to move. He can't even try and find some safe harbor behind the bomb chassis. Every single angle locked down, and Oxygen truly falling to their own devices there, John. A lot of these angles that they establish actually playing back the other way. DarkZero able to pick up quite a few kills, and also handling the bottom roam game from Oxygen extremely well, especially given how Eclipse played that. He's all on his lonesome, and I think that this is something that we talk about quite a lot when it comes to Eclipse, is he's the highlight player that doesn't see a lot of conversation inside of DarkZero. And it's moments like this where that truly was the game-winning engagement. Him not only killing the initial fragger down low, but then cleaning up Laxing while he's trying to escape up white. Fantastic stuff from DZ there, and that's why they win that last round.
Right, so DarkZero not only closing the gap between them and Oxygen, but taking the lead once more as well. Going to put them on a great footing to try and start the beginning of the end here to close out this matchup. Well, they need 2 more in a row here in order to get
11-0-5 on Eclipse.
What's up?
11-0-5 right now on Eclipse.
Jeez, this brings back, I think it wasn't their most recent game, but the game before that. Eclipse had some pretty nasty stats in that one also. If I remember correctly, it was against Disrupt. So seeing a reappearance of that Eclipse today is he's just going absolutely crazy, especially when it comes to the mid-round exchanges. Seeing him contribute a lot to making sure the team stays even, stays in the fight, and doesn't fall to some of this aggression we're seeing from Oxygen work out so well for them in the early round.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, DarkZero is usually a squad that when they do come up in conversation or whenever any of us cast them, we usually talk about how well scripted this team is. They're very well versed inside of their strategies, and that's mostly what they focus on with this squad is just, you know, what can we accomplish with these different kinds of setups? Well, this DarkZero, as of right now here on Coastline, is looking extremely lethal, especially looking through Eclipse's play so far here. And as you said, this is a kind of a throwback to what we saw earlier in the season, and truly is a testament to what Eclipse is able to accomplish with any team. He's always been an extremely solid player. Now, jumping into round 10 here, DarkZero have an opportunity to push this to match points and really start to apply this pressure to OXG. Their setup looking quite solid. They're going to bring Foxay with the Aruni for the very first time here as well. So that could be a new fold that DarkZero have to consider before this execute.
Sky's already up to Cool Vibes, ready to wrap around to begin putting the pressure downstairs here. We are going to see the gas grenade get prepped here. Just in the event
you don't say too often, right?
Yeah, just in case the swing happens. But he wants to time it right now. Obviously wants to deny anybody immediately swinging to kill that, as that's a pretty big piece of utility to lose out of this situation. But he's got it in a pretty safe spot. Sky's looking for the lineup upstairs. Unfortunately, not going to find anyone in this department. And the same will be true for the corner of the hookah site as he continues to shoot out the floorboards on the inside of that one. Laxing getting ready for the flash pressure against him. So we are starting to see a little bit of that from DZ coming in from Aqua, as well as the window in Billiards itself. Air jab specifically to prevent the rotate through Aqua goes out. Kino still holding this back as he actually deploys that gas charge and prepares another one, trying to stop the swing from Cool Vibes. Okay, I think it's going to take a hit or two from the gas as he walks into it accidentally on the way back up. DarkZero, in the meantime, still really want this kill in the rotate position, but there's no one there, and there's not going to be anytime soon. Eclipse finally picking one up from the rappel in the big window by Billiards, however, starts this round off for DZ, and is going to continue it. Also catching Laxing on a rotate back downstairs. Vertical falling as well. It is dominoes right now for Oxygen. Well, they're going to start to put themselves back up here. NJR and Eclipse going down. Now Hyper as well. It's just as strong from the defense. These last two Warriors keeping themselves alive. Kato as well prepared for the repush from Skies because of the intel from earlier. So now it's just on Mint. Suddenly this round has turned itself back around. And DarkZero, out of all teams here, is disadvantaged.
Well, now it's down to Mint inside of a 1v2, but he's got minimal time. He might have some space to be able to get a plant attempt down, but that's the issue. Lots of people close to him. He'll throw the drone down, but he needs to make the decision now and never a little bit later, because this is the issue. A little bit of time. He might be able to get off plant here and be able to actually get a kill, but he actually gets the plant off, immediately peeks into the EBR, though, and that just does too much damage. It's 2 shots from Foxay. He's downed, and Oxygen tie things up once again. It was DarkZero with a very solid handle on the situation regarding Hookah, able to get a lot of picks there through a bunch of different means, as well as downstairs especially, but the highlight here being Kino. He keeps things locked down from the vase position, whether it be through M590 play on Vibes or simply fragging out people pushing into Hookah. He does everything and more to bring this back to an equal footing in between DZ and Oxygen, but then he does it one better, gets it down to the 2 versus 1, and they lock things up to equalize and keep DarkZero away from that match point.
Kino continuing to have an incredibly impressive performance this season here. Remember, between him and Yogg, they are 2 brand new members to the roster. And while Yogg has been around inside of the NA scene for a while, for both of these players, I believe it is their first step up to the pro division as well inside of this season. Kino has been doing admirably, not only fragging out on this smoke, but for those who remember the week 1 matchup for Oxygen, also pulling off some impressive plays on operators like Thermite also.
The guy had an ace on his first round.
Yep.
First round ace. Yep. It's so insane. Such an insane player.
Really great opening season for him, and hopefully a sign of more things to come in future seasons, whether it'll continue to be with Oxygen or on another team. Either way, though, OXG tying us back up again on the defensive side of this map. Want to try and be the first to push up onto map point. But at the same time, DarkZero trading out nearly every single round may make this a run for OT, which is not what Oxygen want. Let's remember the thing we brought up at the beginning of the map. Oxygen only have 2 games this week to secure points to try and solidify their lead. The team in 3rd place right now, the Sonics, they have 3 games, which is 1 more opportunity to score points against them. The lead between the 1st and 3rd place is not that big right now, meaning that if Oxygen don't get outright wins in both of the matches they have this week, there is a very real possibility that the Sonics can pass them.
Yeah, and it's so very true. That's why we already see the aggressive plays coming from Oxygen on this defense. We see Vert go for the spawn kill because they're desperate for these points. They don't want this to go to overtime or DarkZero to even breathe on this on the scoreline of 6 rounds because they want the full breadth of all 3 points. They don't want DarkZero to have a single hand in taking that away from them. So this round right here, paramount for OXG when it comes to standings, and that's why it's so very important. Oxygen, so far, extremely solid setup, I would say, for Kitchen. Not too much vertical pressure, though. No one upstairs right now on the 2nd floor, all except for Foxay, but he's been lingering here for quite some time. And as he has been playing pretty close to site, it seems as though DarkZero aren't necessarily aware of his current presence. NJR, actually, could be his first victim if he's able to get away with it. Some shots ring out, but oh no. Goes wide. Very poor situation now for Fox. He's locked behind the bookshelf. The Zofia inside of 90 as well. There's no way out of this one, my friend. Stun locked and more than likely dead within moments if he continues to get pressured this way.
Surprising amount of time he's going to be left alive here, though. Vertical seems to get into a fight as well, though I'm not sure if it's in the same department. And either way, NJR finally lining up the frag to deal with Fox. They definitely wastes a good amount of time. Get some chip damage off onto NJR as well, but that's ultimately not worth the trade. Oh, a lineup from Laxing onto the foot of a player crossing out in the hallway through the drone hole. But unfortunately, the shots don't ring true. The opportunity is lost, and he now needs to fall back. Thankfully, Vert's there to pick up the pieces, though, as he's able to take down Eclipse and even us out once again.
And that's huge because Eclipse has been such a nuisance when it comes to these rotations for Oxygen, able to pick up a lot of the frags as well as be a serious staple when it comes to the oversight for DZ. Either way, though, down into the last minute now as DarkZero are doing their best carpentry work on this floor and ripping everything apart upstairs, trying to make sure no one can play safely inside of beer or even near service. And that's where this plant seemingly wants to go down as Skies continues his renovations.
Laxing gonna pop open the rotation into the site here. Now that we're getting to a late round situation, and Executes are rolling through. He has lost his deployable shield.
Oh.
Plant potentially gonna go down without an interruption either. Laxing isn't caught anything. He's really confused right now. NJR sneaks off a kill from behind Lamborghini, but we are gonna see that traded out or at least downed against NJR. Vertical also falling though, and a wild swing from Kino leaves Yog as the only player left in this fight now. He's at a 1v2, realistically a 1v3, but ultimately DarkZero still close it out, responding yet again to the lost round with another win and putting them up onto map point first.
Oh, well, that is extremely catastrophic for Oxygen. You guys could see how difficult that was for them, and they were really, really trying to win out that round. Laxing coming down to the point where he almost capped his own teammate. That's how focused that guy was inside of that round. So that's a really, really big deal for them, and they're going to call a timeout here before DarkZero are able to seal it out inside of regulation because they need this OT now. If they're not able to get at least 1 point, their first place is more than likely going the way of the Sonics.
Especially if it happens through an outright loss, as we already mentioned. 0 points will be given to them for that. If they can translate this one here, they'll at least get 1 or 2 if they can convert the win in overtime. But as Stokes had said, I believe the lead actually, I don't want to like definitively state this just because doing math on air is never a good equation for casters, but I'm fairly certain if my quick math was correct that the Sonics roster has already going to overtake them unless they get at least the OT win here, in which case they may still have a lead by like 1 point. But like I said,
they'll be tied. Sonics are sitting at 13 points right now, Oxygen at 12, and DarkZero at 11. Gotcha. And just to add this for a little bit more fun, guys, you guys want to know the rest of it? Disrupt is at 10. TSM's at 9. Mirage and Beast Coast are both at 8, and then we break the fun, and there's 6 for space.
So basically, no one's position is secured right now.
No,
and everybody
not a single
needs to
damn
win.
person.
That's the simple message.
Yes, exactly. You know what's funny? When you play inside of a league, it's almost like you should just like win your games. You know, it's strange.
It's a little, it's a little too intense of a strat there.
Right. It's kind of like, how do you win Rainbow Six? You just shoot them, forehead. Like, come on.
Point and click adventure ultimately.
Yeah. Hey, that's basically what an FPS is. Yeah. It's a point and click adventure game with a lot more moving parts.
Okay, so
what was your favorite point and click adventure game when you were a child? I played Myst, I think. Like when I was super young, dude, on my grandparents' compact computer. Also played Deer Hunter 2000. You guys remember that one?
I like GoldenEye.
GoldenEye? Dude, I never got to play GoldenEye. I think I played it a singular time in my entire life. We should just like buy an N64 and have like a GoldenEye night. That'd be so amazing.
On the Wii too. They re-released it on the Wii.
What?
On the Wii for some reason.
On the Wii, man. I want that
saying,
janky controller. That's what I want. You know what I mean? I want the messed up N64 controller with like, it literally looks like a spaceship.
Oh.
Yeah, if you like made a massive version of that and you made it fly, they would immediately call that a UFO.
All right, well,
Anyways, there's more important things to talk about than my banter. So DarkZero and Oxygen. Yeah, DarkZero and Oxygen, we're getting back into this, folks. It's just, you know, those little dying moments and stuff like that. We're waiting for more stuff to go on. But DarkZero not changing up a single thing when it comes to this lineup. Skies is now going to be on Sledge, obviously, but he's been on Soft Destructors this entire time. Eclipse still sticking to Nomad, and he's been rocking the AK with her as well, and just been dynamite when it comes down to it. For DarkZero, though, they're starting off with a hookah clear, as NJR will be using the Hollow to clear out this end of the map.
Not going to find anything here in terms of presence from OXG. They're keeping it pretty light. NJR realizes that relatively quickly and actually cancels the remaining time on his drone, or rather his ability drone, and or clone, whatever you want to call it. It just goes back to his actual drone there in order to preset that and properly leave it in a position where if he dies, teammates are also going to be able to utilize that from the grave. Oftentimes, what you want to be aspiring to with your drone work is not to immediately throw it into the site and get info while it gets shot out, but also to set it up in a proper position where your teammates can also utilize it. Just a bit of, obviously, like basic info for the folks who have only started playing Siege recently. But look at this swing from Fox.
Hyper kick away?
Explosion from the other side there scares him, though. Sends him back down the stairs without a kill against Hyper.
Foxy was lit pixels off of
I think the explosions like scared him off. Like, it was like, oh, no. Like, he didn't know what was happening there fully, and I don't think he wanted to play into it with that consideration.
Exactly, especially given the circumstances, right? If Foxy loses out that situation fully, DarkZero now have a man advantage lead, and we all know what that equates to when it comes down to things inside of R6. But DarkZero with fantastic top pressure right now and begin breaking up that floor. The damage starting to come through from Oxygen, though, as Skies begins to get lit up. He still has quite a few targets down here, as it seems like a target-rich environment, one would say. Laxing still in behind the bar. He's going to deal a lot of damage, ends up downing him, cleans it up with a shotgun. Skies swings into an off angle he wasn't exactly ready for. You really can't even say that. That's usually where somebody's going to be playing when it comes to the double bar area. So a little bit of an oversight here for DZ, just not enough info, but now they know exactly where Laxing is, but they need the picks to come back their way if they want to try and seal this out inside of regulation.
You know, still waiting for Presence to be pressed in from the top of Cool Vibes there. Remember, made massive impact from this position just a couple rounds ago, but it was the other side of the staircase where he was able to do it from. Not going to be able to utilize the Toxic Babes is clearly from this position. Some other issues going to be presented as well, like Eclipse getting another kill against Vertical. That only ties us up at a 4v4. Ready to get the exchange, but Eclipse just too strong inside of this matchup. He's going to go for 3 now. Probably having some second thoughts about it since his HP is going to get drained by the other player inside a lobby. But no, goes forward. What a catch from Eclipse. Takes down Yogg. The problem is he's lost literally every other teammate. This has to be a near ace from Eclipse. There's 2 players standing, so it would be a 4K. No, excuse me. It would be an ace for him if he's able to pick up these 2, but what a task he's going to have to pull out for himself here. Pressure already working against him. It's some damage onto his opponents, and as well, that counter defuse now getting started. I'm not even sure if he's going to be able to hear that from this far away is the problem here. The pressure from Laxing going to end up being too much. Yes, he goes down, and as well, the counter defuse goes off at the same time. OXG pick up round 12 and send us to a 3-round overtime.
I don't know how many times we're going to have to touch on this subject today, but it seems like DarkZero is starting to fall to their own devices. Not a single other player having any influence over that besides holding some crosses and hoping that the case goes down. But every member of DarkZero getting eaten alive when it came down to it inside of their own gunfights. Oxygen winning out a lot of those. Presents, well, our lone soldier, one would say. I'm looking at Oxygen's lined up. Apologies, folks. Eclipse alone inside of lobby, and he's not able to really do anything about that either. Yeah, he does get some damage off onto Lax, but Laxing pressuring him into an area where he's more than likely going to have to sit on his back foot and try and win that engagement before dealing with the person diffusing. That was just played out so extremely well by Oxygen. DarkZero, if anyone else has any influence over that round, Eclipse more than likely wins it, and that's a 7-5.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so overtime on the cards. For anybody who's new to Siege, it's just 3 rounds. Winner of 2 takes it. So we're playing to 8 right now here in... What's up?
Nothing. I was talking to myself.
Okay. But either way, yeah. First team to get to 8 is going to be able to take control of the overtime. No extension parameters on that or anything like that. No win by 2. So pretty straightforward here. Let's take a look at the setup from DarkZero. As no surprise, they're going right back to kitchen and service, which was easily the most dominant site for them on defense.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can you blame them when it comes down to it? Can you exactly blame them? Because I don't necessarily think so. Oxygen, well, we can talk about this now. Oxygen's defense is very unique in the way that they handle Coastline, but it just didn't seem to be what was necessary to close this out inside of regulation. And so we're faced with overtime now. Oxygen going to have 2 offensive rounds if we go the full depth of this OT. DarkZero, low-key having the favorable side, all things considered. They were quite strong from the defensive end and were able to equalize, especially playing Kitchen and Hookah.
To see a pretty passive opener from both teams. Neither one trying to outright take gunfights, but that's going to be changing soon. Vertical with the great pressure working in a security off of a flashbang from the window. Is he expecting 2 players here, though?
What?
Definitely not. Hyper as well as Mint holding the line, but all of a sudden, Yogg comes out of left field with the re-swing to trade out Hyper. We just cannot escape a 4v4 for some reason. Every single round, it keeps happening. Props to the team on the losing end of the initial frag, because they are quick at trading these out, but man, is it weird to see that so consistently happening.
I thought I was watching a completely different game there for just a second. If you saw what Minton did, he threw the nitro cell in there for space control and just sat on it. He's like, I'm not going to blow it yet. I'm going to see if you shoot it. Are you going to shoot it? Are you still there? What are you doing? Huh? And yeah, so heads up play there for Mint to really back off Oxygen inside of security. As we're already just about to be halfway through this round. And as you said, we can't escape the 4v4s that have been coming through. But DarkZero definitely still ahead here, all things considered. Sky's still up on top of all 3 of those toxic smokes. Kino, quite a bit of damage, but he starts to give as good as he gets. He takes down Eclipse, the star player from DarkZero that almost won out that 1v2 inside of the prior round, as Oxygen start to warm up.
You know, just so smooth on the Twitch work today. If you remember back from a couple rounds before, the first attack they did against Hookah Billiards was won primarily by him because he got 2 kills on Aqua Repel, which is beautiful placement of the crosshair, just like we saw on his most recent kill. Kino, once again, stepping it up big times. It's basically him versus Eclipse in a lot of the opening engagements of the round. Obviously, Eclipse dead right now with a 15-8 scoreline. His contribution to this matchup was it was kind of obvious here without needing to explain it any further. But, you know, as well as the rest of Oxygen, still looking to make the impact necessary to get themselves to the inside of this site, a site that they have not yet successfully taken on an attacking round, but are looking to change their luck. Very similar execute to how we see them play this back in the very first round. They're going to have to deal with similar utility. The gas grenades firing back in, as well as the VIP position, which has not been dealt with in any capacity. NJR still has a complete cutoff against any pushes to the inside. Sky's having to dance around a little bit on the inside of barrels in the meanwhile here, but Mint picks up another kill against arguably the most influential player on Oxygen right now. Laxing is going to respond in his own kind, but a beautiful shot to the face from Skies' shot. He's going to take out Laxing, leaving only Foxe in this fight now. He's got 13 seconds to get that case onto the ground. Might not even make it that far, or maybe he will. Takes down Skies, going to go for the plant. There's an immediate rotate from NJR on the way. He should have an angle against Foxe.
He got him off of it.
Actually stopped it. He's looking for the kill here, and he's just going to let the time run out, trying to find it. Was assuming his opponent would rotate into him in time there, so didn't end up sticking that diffuser, and ultimately was unable to hunt him down after he gave it up.
No, I honestly think I'm chalking it up to Foxe hearing those footsteps. I think that he ran right up to that rotate to give the audio and then dipped back out to play it in a much safer fashion and see if he could pull him off of planting the case. And it worked out. There's no way that Foxe rededicates to that with 3 seconds left, because you're dead in the water for 4 seconds on top of that. Yeah. And given like the recent things that have surfaced with the case, right? It's actually even a little bit longer than that. It's not even a 7-second plan. It's actually after you start the animation that is a 7-second plan. So that's a lot of time to simply sit there and be like, all of my future and this squad's future inside of overtime hinges on me sitting here and hoping that he doesn't come and kill me while I'm trying to plant a case. So I think that it's still the proper thing to do for Foxe. Just DarkZero were one level deeper there, and NJR especially being the person to change that entire round and really flip it on its head, especially with the play that we saw inside of VIP, which Oxygen didn't check in on at all. It was a singular hole upstairs holding down the kitchen door that was the demise for OXG on their entry.
So OXG now behind in overtime here, potentially only going to be netting themselves a single point if they drop this next round, whereas DarkZero will take 2 for themselves and also start to close the gap between their current position and first place in the division. It's a very, very tight race, as Stokes already mentioned earlier, just even beyond the top 3 right now. So this match means
heck the top 5, my friend.
I mean the top
5, I believe.
Yeah, so that is the large majority of positions in our league still up.
Top 7, John. Top 7.
Top 7 positions in our league, apparently, still up for grabs. And that realistically means that we could see a team like OXG shift all the way down to that position if things obviously were to go the worst case scenario for them. We're already not in the worst case scenario. Like we said, they're guaranteed 1 point already, even if they drop this round because they've made it to OT. But still important nonetheless to note that.
Yeah, when things are this close, it really makes me think about Formula One and what happens with like the Drivers' Cup and stuff like that. Like, they are so very close, and that's why the Super Week is truly insane when you consider what's going on. I mean, you have 3 play days in a row, no true prep. You can try and practice at night, but you're jumping right back into it the next day to do it all over again. And this matchup especially, like, what a way to cap off our first play day of the week. But it's not done just yet here, folks. Oxygen want to try and survive throughout this. The first minute is off the board here for potentially Oxygen's last round, as they seriously need to win this defense to stay on top of things. DarkZero now with top control, though, but Oxygen could still have some members lingering around.
Eclipse, the meanwhile for DZ, already with, as you mentioned, that upstairs control, trying to play off of it. Oxygen are well aware of the circumstances that have befallen them in this first half of the round and are trying to play into that to the greatest of their own capabilities, mainly by having the extended hold downstairs over towards security office and as well as some of the back lanes here. Down intel for Vert. He's going to try to play off it with a nitro cell. I think he's lost the scent, though, so more than likely going to end up pocketing that for later use inside of the round.
Well, we'll see if that one comes up a little later on. Still looking for that audio cue, but obviously that's not going to come. And actually, it looks like DarkZero beginning to set up kitchen and clear out utility for a possible plant later on, but it doesn't seem like they have anybody else there to really actually make anything happen. Actually, it's going to be Mint that has case right now, so considering all the angles they're currently holding, they can plant for kitchen window. It just depends on what happens with Laxing on this cross. Eclipse is able to get one, but he's immediately downed off Blacktop. Kino will pick that one up, as this is Oxygen set up from previously here on kitchen, with that shield inside of the kitchen hallway, played for lobby, but also that off angle into service. Inside of the dying moments now, though, Oxygen need to stand up here and win out this round.
And Jared with a great cutoff, but not able to utilize it. That's going to allow Kino back in here. At the same time, Laxing does get traded, trying to make the push. Inside, Mint slammed against the wall as a nitro cell takes him out, sends him ragdolling into the air, and it leaves DarkZero. Only 2 players standing. This semi-passive hold from OXG has paid off big time. Great utility usage from them. Not even really needing to engage in a large majority of the gunfights. As you saw, they were falling behind up until the very end, but it's all for good reason, because those extended positions in the front lobby pay off in huge dividends to allow them to shut down this push at range.
Well, and with that round win, there's also going to be a DarkZero timeout as we reach 7-7 here on Coastline. You know, especially given that Oxygen hasn't played this map inside of a sanctioned match in so very long, this is exactly what I wanted to see between these two. I mean, 2 absolute powerhouses of NA just swinging back and forth at each other on a map like Coastline is always a sight to see, and I'm happy that we get to do it once again here today. Oxygen able to lock things down on that defense as they practically switched sides in how they were defending everything, basically making lobby as well as service and beer their home base to operate from, and were able to shut down DarkZero every step of the way, especially with the picks that they were able to procure. DarkZero just not having the ability to work in and get that plant down. And I think that's also another highlight thing to talk about when considering Mute and how he works into a lot of these lineups. Mute isn't only reconstruction of the site, as well as a really solid secondary. He's got that nitro cell as well. He can do roams, he can deny drones, he can deny walls. Mute has a lot of implications when he's put into a lineup, and I think Kino, especially right there, just highlighted that.
So with Kino continuing to impact here for OXG, as well as the rest of the team firing off impressively today. Once more, Laxing, I think, having some great contributions today as well, just like in the previous game against TSM on Chalet. We're going to see them be able to push the envelope towards the final round here. We go to a full 15 to decide this. There is going to be a 6 pick away from the hard breach, which generally you would want to bring against this site, but it seems as though OXG choosing that they don't need it and want the extra info from the Yana instead. And I would say that's a pretty smart choice. A lot of the issues in late round for OXG have come down to these chaotic scenarios calming down, but then OXG having to operate off of a slight lapse of intel. So that drone could end up being the difference maker in a late round play. We'll, of course, follow that up and see exactly how this goes. It is our ultimate round. Time to see which team will get the points for this matchup. Is it going to be DarkZero that take the 2-pointer, or will OXG get it? This round decides it.
I'm very happy that this matchup ended up turning out way better than the Jake Paul Ben Askren fight, because that
you're really leaning into that joke.
I'm not leaning. That's the second time I've mentioned
you brought it up. I know. That's what I'm saying.
It was a callback. Don't get on me on my callback, sir. Come on.
I'm about to get added, bro.
I'm about to get added. Jake Paul's about to be like, "Hey yo, why you talking?"
He's got like a feeder, like some feeder feelers somewhere out on the internet.
Dude,
there.
Listen, man, I'm gonna tell you right now. If Jake Paul wants to fight me, I'll take $2 million to flop. Either way. I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. Ben Askren had the biggest smile on his face, man. That guy had the easiest 2 mils of his entire life.
OXG moving into this round here.
Either way, yeah, as you said.
Are going to see some pressure start to be put onto really the light extremities across the map here, as we're going to take a look at Eclipse. Obviously, watching out on the rooftop there to see if there's going to be any pressure swung against him. Not seeing that, as it's a very light touch from Oxygen on the outset here of our final round. Definitely taking the time that they have, and more importantly, you can see using the angles and the map control, the small amounts of it anyway, that they are getting to try and see if DarkZero are going to make any mistakes inside of their extended game. Anything, of course, that OXG might be able to abuse in the early round to get that definitive 5v4 advantage. Obviously, nothing coming to fruition so much in that respect, though they are going to catch this rotate towards the inside of the site. Unfortunately, Eclipse's position is not really anything they can influence at this point in the round, especially because they don't have a repel outside of Hookah, so...
Yeah, very slow moving from Oxygen so far, and so a lot of control in DarkZero's hands across this entire top floor. Hyper on an extended roam over near the 90 area, so Oxygen still needing to break up a lot of this, but this has just mostly been searching down low to see exactly what's going on for DZ and if they're going to have any presence around that area, and obviously the answer is no. So this is more than likely going to look like what we saw from Oxygen the last time that they were able to attack Hookah. Just try and get these initial picks and look to see if they can get a bomb down on sort of an off angle. We did see OXG attempt for a Hookah clear prior as well on one of their Hookah attempts. I really feel as though this just depends on where things break, but as we get more insight and a better breadth of view here, Kino is actually the one with the case control as he begins to start things inside of Aqua, or actually, excuse me, inside of Billiards. But the case is actually going to get locked down. It's inside the site, it will get picked back up, but trades ensue. Both of the teams backing off, but Yogg with the replant now.
Vertical with a lineup to take down Mint, but it's actually going to be Laxing that gets the kill instead. Diffuser down on the ground. Great catch from Vertical on the rotate from Eclipse to the outside after he picked up a kill against Foxay. NJR and Skies, the last two players left in this. These retakes have been so dangerous for DarkZero because they haven't had the position to play off of. And there you go. Yogg with the double seals the deal for OXG as they take the overtime win for 2 points, 8-7 against DarkZero on their permaban coastline.
What a map from Oxygen, and they blew the dust off of this thing at the perfect time to start to our last Super Week. They take it to DarkZero. Granted, overtime, they will be docked 1 point, and that will be given to DZ for forcing them into the situation, but still, 2 points in a win is 2 points in a win. And this right here, probably the best showing that we've seen from Yaga all season.
Yeah, really good stuff from Yaga. Obviously, he being the more inconsistent of the two players that were picked up, left some questions in the air, especially because of his role within the team that we've generally seen shifting towards those more aggressive operators. I wasn't paying too close of an attention to his specific select, so I don't know if they switched that up because I did see a couple other things changing across the lineup for that team. But overall, a very impressive performance from him, one that we needed to see. And that's on top of Kino doing so well also. That's like the third game where he's had this hallmark performance on operators you wouldn't necessarily expect also. So